Hello, good morning, everybody. Hope you guys are having a great day so far. This is Ryan Cole. I'm the campus minister at Greenwood Park Church of Christ and campus minister at Hilltoppers for Christ, a campus ministry at WKU. Again, hope you guys are having a great day. This week is Holy Week. It's the week leading up to Easter. This week there are literally millions and millions and millions of people around the world who are celebrating the cross and resurrection of Jesus. And for that, we are very thankful and we praise God for. So at Greenwood Park, what we've been doing this past week, we've been going through chronologically the last week of Jesus's life here before the cross and resurrection. You know, so on Monday, we talked about what happened on Jesus's last Monday. And so today, since it's Thursday, what we're going to do is look at some of the things that happened in Jesus's life on the Thursday of his last week before the cross and resurrection. So on the Thursday of Holy Week, the week leading up to Jesus' death, there are a couple of, probably two things that they're most prominent in the Gospels that he did on the last Thursday. And that is that he washes the disciples' feet and he shares a Last Supper with them. So I just want to kind of just have a few reflections on that today. I saw this recently online, and it's really made me think a lot. And this is kind of a question that I just want to ask y'all and to reflect with y'all with for a minute. If you knew you only had one day to live, what are some of the things you would do? If you only had one day to live, what are some of the things you would do? Would you call up a certain friend? Would you go travel to a certain location? Would you do a certain activity? Would you eat a certain meal? What are some of the things that you would do? Well, for Jesus, and this is kind of what made me think about this. I think it was a tweet that I saw, and it's this: is that, you know, Jesus knew exactly that this was his last day that he was going to live. Jesus knew this was his last day he was going to live. And you know what he did? He washed people's feet. John chapter 13 and verse 1 says this: "It was just before the Passover festival. Jesus knew that the hour had come for him to leave this world and go to the Father. Having loved his own who were in the world, he loved them to the end. The evening meal was in progress, and the devil had already prompted Judas, the son of Simon Iscariot, to betray Jesus. Jesus knew that the Father had put all things under his power, and he had come from God and was returning to God. So he got up from his meal, took off his outer clothing, and wrapped a towel around his waist. After that, he poured water into a basin and began to wash his disciples' feet, drying them with the towel that was wrapped around him." What would you do if you knew this was your last few hours here on earth? Jesus knew exactly what that would be. Jesus knew that this was the last thing he would do here on the earth before he was going to die. And you know what he did? He washed his disciples' feet. And that's just absolutely amazing to me that he would do that. I get emotional almost every time I think about it. If it was my last day on earth, I kind of think of the things I would want to do, and it'd be pretty centered on me. And what Jesus did, he was other-centered. You know, he served the disciples so much. And I love this next exchange. So we're in John chapter 13, verse 6. And he came to Simon Peter, who said to him, "Lord, are you going to wash my feet?" Jesus replied, "You do not realize now what I am doing, but later you will understand." "No," said Peter, "you shall never wash my feet." And Jesus answered, "Unless I wash you, you have no part of me." "Then Lord," Simon Peter replied, and I love this so much. He says, "Not just my feet, but my hands and my head as well." So whenever Jesus said that, he says, "Unless you let me wash you, you have no part of me." And that's kind of the message he has for us, is that we need Jesus to wash us. Peter's like, "No, don't just wash my feet, wash the whole thing. I want to go like all in. All of me wants to be a part of you, Jesus." And I love that. I want to encourage you can go back and read. I think it's all of John chapter 13 through 18 or something. That's the last the Thursday of Jesus' last week here on earth. And I just want to kind of offer one more reflection on what is one of the core things about us as Christians. You know, what is the vocation of a follower of Jesus? Like, what are some of the things that we are called to do that all of us do on a regular basis, that we should do on a regular basis? And that has to do with also something that happens on the Thursday, and that is the Last Supper. You know what he shares, we see this in 1 Corinthians chapter 11, whenever he's talking about the Last Supper. He says this in verse 25 of 1 Corinthians 11. He says, whenever you drink it, I'm sorry, let me jump back up in verse 25. It was in the same way, after supper, he took the cup, saying, this cup is a new covenant in my blood. Do this whenever you drink it in remembrance of me. In verse 26, for whenever you eat this bread and drink this cup, you proclaim the Lord's death until it comes. So we as Christians, one of the very last things Jesus did before he left, he washed the disciples' feet and shared a meal with them. And this is very, very important for us to do. And what was the instructions he gave? He says, whenever we partake of the Lord's Supper, whenever we partake of communion, you know what we're doing? We're proclaiming the Lord's death until he comes, and we're remembering him. We as Christians, we never get over looking back at what Jesus did. We are always remembering Jesus. Always remembering Jesus. That's one of the main things that we're supposed to do as Christians, is to always look back. So today, I just want to kind of leave you with these thoughts, and it has to do with the Thursday of Holy Week, the Thursday leading up to the cross of Jesus, and that is this. How are you going to remember Jesus today? What if you just took a few minutes and just really reflected on who Jesus is, what he has done for you, what your life would look like without Jesus? Man, what would happen if you just took a few minutes to reflect on that today? And also, next, Jesus knew he had one day left, and you know what he did? He washed his disciples' feet. He served people in light of who Jesus is. And by the way, you know, later on in John chapter 13, it says, hey, you know, I'm washing your feet, talking to the disciples, like, hey, you need to wash each other's feet. You know, so the idea there is that we need to serve other people. So in light of the service that Jesus has done for you, how can you serve others? So those are the thoughts I wanted to share with y'all today. I hope you all have a great day. And again, try to serve in the way Jesus has served you. Remember Jesus. We never get over that. Let's just constantly remind ourselves of who Jesus is and what he's done for us. God bless. Love y'all. Bye.